Okay. Good afternoon. We're in Royal Oak, Michigan today asking questions about how people feel about marriage in America today. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Are you married?
No.
Would you like to be married?
No.
What do you think is the state of marriage in America today?
Kind of on a trickle-down pattern.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, from years ago to now, it's just sort of trickled down the constitution of marriage.
The constitution of marriage?
The concept of it has just almost disintegrated.
I see, I see. And in fact, quite frankly, this is Dr. Ross we have with us today. And in fact, his life's mission is to try to improve marriage because he believes that that will solve a lot of society's problems. What do you think might fix marriages in America today?
Communication, possibly less use of technology or the internet, maybe. Maybe not trying to change everybody so much.
What do you think the purpose of marriage is?
Probably to grow old with somebody. Most people, I think, get married just so they'll have somebody there. But I think it's usually to share something with, like your life.
Dr. Ross, what do you think the purpose of marriage is?
Well, it seems to me that marriage is a unique relationship, and it's always between a man and a woman, and the purpose of it is to bring children into the world so that humanity has a way of propagating itself into the future and organizing itself. And since children enter the world not knowing a whole lot, they need adults that look out for them and protect them. So marriage seems to me to be a child protection agency, and it's a social welfare agency, because this way the two adults, they give what they have to the child, and then the child is kept safe and the child can grow up. And then as the two parents get old and disappear from the world, they leave the child behind as their legacy. And if they did a good job, the child is now going to be a good person, making the world a better place as well. So it seems to me like that should be something about what it's about.
It should be. That's kind of euphoric. But I believe that definitely, of course, marriage isn't always between a man and a woman. It could be a woman and a woman, a man and a man. I think any two people who love each other and are respectful of each other can raise children. And sometimes it's not even about parenting and how they were raised that makes a well-balanced person in the society. Sometimes it's all in the child. I'm a mother too, and raise my girls.
Well, let me just ask you a question. Does a child have a right to know who his or her mom and dad is? Or is that not a right that children should have? That we as citizens, however young we are, should have an opportunity to know who our mom and dad are and maybe to grow up with them.
I don't know if it's necessarily a right as opposed to a privilege, because there are so many different families out there in this world in today's age, not necessarily a nuclear family. And sometimes ancestry isn't necessarily the biggest issue. Sometimes you have to take what's around you as opposed to the past. Maybe that's the problem sometimes in today's society, is that we look to the past to try to fix tomorrow's future.
Could you bring your dog out?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about me. When I was young, there was a big tragedy in my family, and my mom got sick and whatnot. And as a result of that, I lost my family, and I went into a home for children. And I could tell you about that experience. I know that I would not have wanted some adults to decide that they were going to put me in a household with two men as my mom and dad. I wouldn't have wanted that. That would have been a cruelty on me, especially after losing my household and my brothers and sisters. I would want to still know my mom and my dad, and I did know my mom and dad. My mom was sick, and my dad wasn't able to be there in a way. There were 6 of us. So I wanted to have that connection with my mom and dad still.
Okay, well, that's an extreme case too. That's not every child's situation. I know plenty of people who raise their children and are in a same-sex relationship, and they do just fine. Children, I believe, are more about routine, love, patience, guidance, not necessarily prejudices To raise your child to think that one thing is better than the other, or that you would be a better person because you're raised by a man and a woman? Not necessarily. Know several people who should not raise children and are men and women, should not even have children.
So children don't have that right then. From your point of view, children take whatever they get for being reared, whether it's a mother and a father or whatever it is. They don't really have a right to have anything to say. So really, in a sense, do you think that children like kind of belong to the state and not necessarily to their parents?
No, children should belong to their parents regardless of the choices they make. Children should be taken away from parents regardless of their sexuality based on their care. If they're being abused, I hardly think it's a matter of homosexuality, heterosexuality, or anything else. Being abused is being abused. It has nothing to do with any of that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the time that you've spent with us today.
Good ideas.
Sir, would you allow us to interview
Sorry,
on
my
marriage? Okay, I'm sorry.